Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lauren Lake. I am the host of a new MGM series, Paternity Court, and I am here to help present to you today a very informative panel entitled TV Stations and Networks Cashing In on Interactive and Social Media. I love the title because it says cashing in. How many people want some more cash? I know I do, right? We all want that. So we're here today to get some information about how to create engagement, drive tune in, but most importantly, create revenue for networks, local stations, and producers. How do we be successful using social media as a tool? I have got a really esteemed panel that's going to be able to really, as they say, in the hood, drop some knowledge, okay, on you all about how to do this, how to take social media and incorporate it into your business, whatever your agenda is, and be successful. More importantly, get the viewers, get the consumer, get the cash. So let me start by introducing this fantastic panel. Please hold your applause till the end. First off, to my left, I have Gil Goldschein, president of Bunim Murray Productions. Gil Goldschein serves as president of Bunim Murray Productions, and in this role, he oversees the daily management and growth of the company, bringing to the company to new heights, both as a production studio and international business entity. Their hit shows include, you ready for this, Project Runway, Bad Girls Club, Real World, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and more. Now, Gil will, of course, represent the production company side of things. Now, directly to his left, I have David Beck, which is the head of social media for Univision. David serves as head of social media. He is, well, first of all, Univision, is the leading media company servicing Hispanic America, and he's responsible for the expansion of social media efforts across Univision's broadcast, cable, digital video, mobile, radio, and live events platforms. He will represent the network side of things as we get to the meat of our discussion. And next to him, we have Chet Fenster, managing partner of MEC Entertainment. And Chet Fenster has led MEC Entertainment, a division of Group M Global Media Agency, to the forefront of branded content, anchored in the fundamental belief that advertisers need to think more like programmers. Chet has helped clients such as AT&T, Citi, Macy's, and IKEA use content, pop culture, and social media to better communicate with consumers. Chet will, of course, bring to us the brands discussion. And we're always talking about brand nowadays. So he will talk about that end of it. And lastly, we have Chris Wyatt, the CEO of Youtoo Technologies. Now, as an internet and television pioneer, Chris Wyatt is an established entrepreneur responsible for starting several well-known companies. Now, Mr. Wyatt is currently the founder and CEO of Youtoo.com, the world's first social TV network, a combination TV network and social network that represents the future of social TV and Youtoo Technologies. They are leading the way in interactive TV. Now to start, Chris, you brought a video for us, a 60-second reel of sorts that kind of shows us what Youtoo does, because you're going to represent the technology side of things. Can we roll that video, please?
Introducing Youtoo Technologies.
As an executive producer myself, I love the value that Youtoo technology brings to the television experience.
This patented network technology provides your station with one-stop shopping for real-time voting, real-time viewer videos, and real-time messaging that can be easily incorporated into your broadcasts.
Do you have a special Valentine on this day of love? Go to the KTLA 5 Morning News website and submit a Valentine video for your sweetheart to be featured live on air later in the broadcast.
Hey Stephanie, will you marry me?
Youtoo Technologies has already delivered more than 400,000 viewer interactions live to air for clients ranging from Oxygen to Univision to 20th Television and more. The Hollywood Reporter says Youtoo Technology expands the interactive experience and gets viewers involved. If you want increased ratings, viewer engagement, and ad revenues with unprecedented control of user-generated content, put Youtoo Technologies to work for you.
Excellent, excellent. I don't know about you all, but I want increased revenues, I want engagement, I want all of that. So I'm excited to hear what our panel says. Just to reiterate for those of you that have come in, we have got a vast range of representation here: network, production company, brands, and technology side, figuring out how we can cash in on social media. So I just want to get started, and I want you guys to just be interactive, jump in there, but I do have a couple questions, because everybody is saying, like everywhere I read, and I'm going to admit, I was one of those people late to the boat. I didn't want to get on a Twitter. I didn't want to get on a Facebook. It's just more to do. And then once I realized how important it was to my brand as a talent, my business, my work, I really began to understand it fully. Because everywhere you read, people are saying that this is the year. This year is the year that social TV, interactivity, this is when it's really going to take off. But for each of you in each of your domains, there may be different goals that you want to accomplish. And I want to go down the line briefly and find out how you want to accomplish those goals and how you use social media to do that. Gil, first you. In the production company side of things, of course, ratings and marketing and monetization, how do you use social media and interactivity to accomplish the goals and to raise revenue and engagement and everything that you're going for in your side of things?
Yeah, for us as a production company, I mean, first and foremost, we're in the business of building, creating reality television shows and basically making brands and franchises. A lot of our shows, like The Real World, we're going into our 29th season.
Wow.
A spin-off of that challenge, 24th season. Bad Girls is going into its 11th season. So, we don't believe in just sort of what they call the one-offs. We really want to build shows that are going to have a sustainable model. So as part of that, really, that's the ultimate goal. So the way to do that is constantly trying to ensure, whether it's through the creative, and more recently over the past few years, is looking at new technologies to basically enhance the experience. So anything that we can do to further the creative of the show, whether that's through just new ideas, the creative, or enhancing it with this interactivity, is a win for us. Because if the network is able to go ahead and have this interaction with the show and having people socialize and interact and further engage within the show, that's going to drive more viewers and continue the success of the show. So as a producer, for us, we want the networks to be happy. And so we don't just sit back and hope that the networks are going to be on the cutting edge and looking for these technologies, because while there's some represented here, I don't think they're all there yet. So as a producer, we're going to take the leading oar, and especially at our company, which they were credited with being the pioneers of the reality genre, which drives us as a company all the time within our creative. We want to be the pioneers. So when we first saw this technology, we saw this as a way to further enhance the sustainability of our shows and make sure that further engages the viewers that are online. With Bad Girls, they had a very active community already around the show.
I was just going to ask you, give us an example for one of your shows, just how that works.
The Bad Girls Club. I mean, whether it's after shows, or whether there were people always commenting and on Twitter, and they were really already an active community on the show, so they were already having the dialogue. And when we saw this technology, we thought, wow, not only could they continue the conversation for the few days after the show airs, but now we have the capability, and we'll show a case study shortly, where actually these viewers who are talking about it have the opportunity to show up in an episode and actually be heard by all the people who are as rabid fans as they are of the show.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned how this serves the networks, and even though you try to drive it yourselves as the production company, I want to go to you, David, because you represent a network, and I want to talk about how you're making social media work for you. I know engagement and retention is important, but just give us some examples of how you're doing this and how it's increasing your bottom line.
Sure. I mean, one of the examples I'll point to, and you'll see illustrated in a video, is our award shows. So what we're trying to do is enhance the content experience for the audience. So whether it's on .com, on some sort of second screen, or on the main screen, we're integrating social. And one example of how we did that is during the red carpets, you typically hear all the questions that are asked of the celebrities. We know how much our audience likes to be connected and have access to those celebrities. We give them that opportunity by submitting the questions via social that can be asked for that audience on the red carpet. We give them an opportunity to decide then who is going to become the best dressed of the night by doing a hashtag-based vote. So we're trying to give people that that not only the lean back experience, but those that really want to engage, make it easy for them to engage. Just as you said, sometimes it feels like work. We want to take the work out of it. So whatever the simplest way to get them to engage, we want to offer them that opportunity. And I think, as Gil mentioned, it actually starts with the content, because you have to have good content. 140 characters is short. It really better be smart and punchy.
Right.
And with that, I'll actually wrap up, because I know we've got a lot of other opinions on here too.
And you led me right to the water here, because I want to talk to Chet about engagement. And when you talk about now having to talk in 140 characters or less and say what you need to say, keep people interested, keep them back, keep them attached and interested in your brand. And nowadays we talk so much about branding. Everybody says, oh, I don't want that to mess with my brand. I needed to build my brand. Seeing that you're an expert, because people throw that word around so much. Chet, talk to us about how can we really make this social media thing work to build a brand, sustain a brand, grow a brand?
Well, so really we're talking about 3 different brands here.
Okay.
So you're talking about, and I'll tell you from our perspective. So you're talking about the brand of the show, the brand of the network, sometimes the brand of the individual doing those tweets, or the person who's got a large following that may not be involved in the show. And then from our perspective, it's the advertiser and that brand. And so a lot of the things that the advertisers want to do are the same that the network and the show producers want to do, and they want to engage a fan base, and they want to amplify their message through that community, right? And so if you're an advertiser and you're spending lots of money to advertise around an award show or around another reality series, and perhaps you've as an advertiser, you've done an integration. You want to figure out ways to use social media or use some kind of interactivity to get people to engage more than that 30 seconds on air that they'll see a commercial, or that minute and a half that you might see in an integration or an integrated campaign. So that's when you start to see how these technologies can, I'll say, plus up the experience of seeing an ad on air or seeing an integration on air, and then bringing it back to the fingertips of the users to actually engage with the brand at the same time they're engaging with the content that they love.
Okay, now I like that information, because I want to move to Chris really quickly, because I know we're going to come back to you as well, Chet, in a minute, because I have another question for you. But real briefly, Chris, I need you to talk to me about, because your company, from the video we saw, you kind of work on all of these levels. You're working, kind of weaving your way through the various levels of this situation between networks, production company, brands, people. What exactly are your tools? How are you helping? What is it that you're bringing to the table? I know you're working with partners from networks. You've worked with Univision, Oxygen, Tribune, international broadcasters. Tell us what you've learned, and how can we employ this social media better?
Certainly, I think, whether it's a network or a broadcast group or even an international broadcaster, these days everybody has a different need. They have a different solution that they're looking for. So what we provide is a toolkit, call it the Swiss Army knife, if you will, of social television and interactive television. Starting with our own network, where we deployed the technology first and beta tested there and proved it. Now what we're able to do is provide a complete solution set, which not only starts with engagement, but also takes it further. It takes it further into monetization, and that's not something we've seen out there in any other type of competitor. For example, there is not a value of a tweet, and there's not a value of a like, for example, or even a Facebook follower. It's very difficult to monetize that. But what our systems do is they go beyond that to let you use those marketing methodology, but more importantly, to create a direct link, a relationship with that viewer, and turn them into a user. I mean, we provide everything from statistics all the way down to big data in our back end that can show you where the viewers are, and even goes as far as to show you, what household income they have, how many children they have, how many vacations they take a year. So it's a perfect storm, if you will, to present not only to advertisers, but also to be able to show some real metrics. On top of that, the future that we're really pushing for is the direct monetization. The buy button, if you will. It's nice to vote for free. As many people know, there's no more premium voting through texting. You can't get that anymore. And that's what we provide, the ability not only to market and to monetize, but also to really engage in what we call a 360-degree engagement loop, whether it's digitally, certainly on mobile or on television itself.
So if I can
Yes,
jump in
absolutely.
for a second. Really what's happening now is you're taking things that were two separate practices, right? So television by its nature is this passive lean back experience. The proliferation of smartphones and tablets enabled people to do what they normally would have gone to their computer and gone after they watched the show, or maybe when they had the television in the background, and they might go in a chat room, or they might go and email a friend, or they might go and talk to it. And this technology, as well as the mobile revolution, has enabled people to sit and actually have those experiences simultaneously.
Right.
And so the goal for, I think, the network and the production company, without me putting words in your mouths, is to keep those fans engaged so they don't click the channel and they're staying and they're passionate about it. The technology enables that, and then for the brands, they want to be there and they want to communicate with that consumer regardless of what screen their head is buried in.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I mean, one of the terms we use is we say this is one of the ways that we help reassemble the audience. I mean, you've been seeing audience fragmentation for quite a while, but basically, we know our audience is going to sample content. And for a company like Univision, in the unique position that we're in, where we have a 70+% share of the market, which is kind of unheard of in the English side, we still know the audience wants to sample content, and we want to use social as a way to stay connected with them, to introduce them to all the new content brands that we're introducing, whether they're on linear TV or made for web only content. And we need to do that in a very organic way so that it's not sort of invasive.
That's powerful, because I know in my own work, I see now, it used to be a time where, back in the day, you'd gather together to watch a show. You go to someone's house and have a viewing party. And yes, some do that, but now most really, you sit on social media the entire time and people are talking, critiquing, saying what they believe, what they don't believe, which character they hate, which one they love. It's all going on as the show is happening. So I think that's really powerful.
Well, you don't have to wait until the proverbial Monday morning water cooler. You have a viewing party with 1 million of your friends and associates at the same time.
And then what's funny is, you're so right, Chet. And then now the water cooler has become discussing what people were saying on social media about it. You even see so many shows now incorporating it into the show, showing the tweets of the week. I see people doing segments like that. So it's amazing. And actually, David, you brought a video for us. If you could set up and we could roll that for David, I want you to tell us what this video is going to show us.
The lens that we try and look at when we think about social is this relevant with our audience, and will it resonate with the audience? Is it something that our audience is interested in? So all of the social tactics that we've employed around, which you'll see through our connect us with our stars, let our voice be heard, let us decide something about the content, and reward us for tuning in, for being engaged. And so you're going to see a couple videos here. I'll try and talk through a little bit. It's in Spanish.
Sure.
So
can we roll that video, please?
You do it in Spanish?
No.
Karaoke here?
So what you see here is the first. Our audience kept telling to us, connect us with the stars. So whether it was an award show, Premio Juventud, what are the questions that you want to ask those celebrities? This is our dance competition. This is Latin Grammys. Second was, we want to support those stars. We're big fan clubs. We had people submit their pictures, and we actually broadcast those pictures on air. Tweets, which you've seen quite a bit now, but it's the congratulatory tweets, whether you won or lost. Let us decide something about the show. Going back to the award show, we did a Twitter-based vote, live social-based vote on Best Dressed. Started prompting on the red carpet. Throughout the show, we had a social media reporter give updates on who was leading and prompt more calls to action. And ultimately revealed the award for Best Dressed Live within the show. Our audience, particularly in this last political cycle, let our voices be heard. Here are a couple examples on the entertainment side, sports side, but we'll get into news, which is really where we doubled our efforts. During debate coverage, this is a visualization of what was trending, what our audience was interested in. We did an event with President Obama and Romney where we took questions via Facebook. There that were asked directly to the presidential candidates. We broadcast those questions on air. As we covered the elections and post-debate coverage, again, you'll see on the bottom a live Twitter-based poll on people's opinions. What are people seeing in the various states and areas that the content that we're talking about is relevant to? And finally, reward us for watching 5 days a week a novella strategy, where our stars ask people to tweet with them during the novellas that they're watching. Tuesdays, we roll in a snipe-based question about the novella for them to answer. Wednesday, we reward them by showing their tweets on screen, giving them that 5 seconds of fame. Thursday, keep tuning in because on Friday, we'll reveal the novella fan of the week. And this is the best part. This is the first week we did it. That fan then went and created a mashup of her experience over the course of that week with Univision and tweeted it out on behalf. I mean, that said it right there.
That's amazing. No, that really is. That says a lot about the power of this media. Now, Gil, I want to go to you as well because you brought an interesting case study, and I love the fact that, David, you were able to give us visuals and specifics because we want to figure out how we can make this work for whatever position you're in, whatever bottom line you want to achieve. Now, Gil, you have a case study, and I know you've worked with the Oxygen Network. We talked about Bad Girls Club, and you've even worked with Youtoo before, with Chris at Youtoo. We have some slides. Can we get those pulled up? Because I want Gil to walk us through those. What are we going to see on these?
Yeah, so basically this was for our season 9 of the Bad Girls Club, and we did 3 reunion shows at the end where we integrated the Youtoo technology. So on this slide, oops, I just skipped one. I apologize. So basically we had a call to action that prompted viewers to use the Bad Girls Club social network to comment and engage. So this lived both on Facebook and the Oxygen website, which is the Oxygen site. It was the Youtoo was sort of the back end to it, but when you go to it, like I said, we already had a lot of people online and engaging socially with the show, so there was a huge audience there already. So we said to them, by the way, here's a call to action. You're going to have the opportunity to show up in one of the episodes of the Bad Girls reunion. So we asked a couple of questions, like who, which is the worst bad girl, or, a couple of different questions that sort of got them, or who, go ahead and mimic some of the characters from this season.
Okay.
So we got people engaging, and then we'll see some of, so again, here are the pages. One was on oxygen.com, the other one was Facebook. They could be sending it out and sharing this on Twitter, et cetera, really getting the word out. And people would have the capabilities of watching that user-generated content and voting on it, and basically liking it, disliking it, commenting it, and again, furthering the conversation, watching these people's funny videos. Ultimately, we as the producers decided which videos would show up on air. These were the highest rated 3 shows of the season, or the reunion shows. 54% of the people who went to this page interacted with it in one way or another. They either made videos, if they didn't make videos, they were commenting on the videos, or sharing the videos with their friends saying, look how crazy these are. From a network perspective, as we're talking about, we're believers. The win for us is getting our show obviously ordered season to season, and for the network, they want to further engage as well, and ultimately the monetization. So here, there were almost 200,000 incremental page views. It increased their traffic by approximately 35%. There were more than 4 pages viewed per unique visitor, and almost, there was nearly 3 minutes spent per person. That was, average time spent on the site when they were there. So again, this was just something where call to action, they were there already, and this was yet another way for their 5 seconds of fame. We probably got 10 to 12 people in what we call a podbuster. So this showed up in the reunion for like 30 seconds or 60 seconds, and we as the producers, because of the technology that Youtoo created, we have the capabilities of basically, we edited in which ones were the best. So within that 60 seconds, 10 people got to see themselves within the body of the show of the Bad Girls reunion.
Wow. And people are loving that. Like the viewer loves to feel like they're in it and a part of it. So I think that's amazing. Chet, I want to go.
Can I just say?
I was actually going to go to you too.
Oh, I was going to ask that. Was there a sponsor that came on for that, or?
Not on this one, but I think the capabilities absolutely are there for sponsors, and this is yet another value add from a brand perspective. Right. I think again, this was sort of the first. And what's great about it, the truth is this was a success for Oxygen. We're now doing it as part of the season, which is starting to Bad Girls 10. It will be integrated into the actual season, not just the reunions on a per episode basis. We also have a show called Best Inc., which we're doing, which is also going to be the entire run of the show. We'll be incorporating the Youtoo technology.
So it worked. We're keeping it in.
Keeping it going.
I know that's right. If it ain't broke.
And I was going to say is those type of experiences are the things that are attractive to advertisers because they are enhancements. They do cut through the clutter and they allow participation from the audience that the brand can enable. So that's usually, that type of program, now that you've built the template, is usually a win for the advertisers. And I assume Oxygen is going to go and sell that.
Exactly.
Or you'll go and sell that.
I assume so.
And Chet, I wanted you to elaborate on something else that you've been doing. You created a Conan app.
Yeah, so
tell us about that.
I think we're not going to run the video, but Conan O'Brien had AT&T. I'll start from the beginning. AT&T is a partner in the launch of Conan O'Brien's show on TBS, and the first season we helped launch it with the Blimp campaign, which you guys might have seen, and a big Foursquare campaign. So it was interactive. It also used social media quite a bit. And in the next season, after we got rolling again with the Blimp, we were looking to do something with a second screen experience. And with Turner, we developed a co-viewing app. And the idea is when you download this app, and there's a technology in it, there are a couple of companies that have this. It basically picks up the audio fingerprint of the show and synchronizes the user's experience. I was about to say the viewsers, which some people have used, the viewer-user experience for where you are in the show. And it aggregates all of the social media and supplemental content for when you're watching. So I'll give you an example. I watch the show, I've downloaded the app, I watch the show live, I pause it on my DVR to go get a snack, I come back, the social feed has paused at the same time and picks up where I am. I drop in a couple of things that I think are funny. I unlock some special content that happens during certain times in the advertiser breaks. I'll message a friend on a piece that I like, and I've had this great experience while I was doing it with all the people that were watching it. Tomorrow, you decide to go and watch that same episode, and you've either watching it on your DVR, you're watching it on Hulu, or you're watching it on the player itself, and it's now giving you my comments in the actual place and time that I left them in the show, so the experience is not spoiled for you, and it's synchronizing that. And that was an incredible, it's available for download now, it's on Apple or Android OS, but it won the Emmy for Best Interactive Television.
Oh, congrats on that, awesome.
Well, and what they've done, and it's just a coincidence,
and I
we're
assume
sitting
you have
here
something too.
Well, it's a coincidence because when we looked at the market, that technology was really one of the things that we thought about in building our second screen app, because we have so much live viewing and our audience hates spoilers, and social is a real problem when it comes to spoilers. So in effect, we've created is this spoiler-free social TV. So you can enjoy the second screen content, the social content, without having the ending come up in your stream.
You want to jump in, Chris?
It's a good segue.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely agree. Creating that engagement is certainly, part of it. Whether it's linear television or whether you're time disrupted. What I think you're going to see here is a lot of these technologies rolled out over the next year, whether it's a major network and primetime shows. I think we're starting to kind of elevate the second screen experiences, which are synced or asynchronously synced, and from basically rebroadcasting tweets to a whole new level of interaction where you're going to have live interaction with the crowd where you'll know exactly what they're thinking in a reality show or during a debate. What I think you're also going to see is more money come into the space, whether it's advertisers or the network starting to adopt this, because at the very end of the day, this isn't a nonprofit business. We're actually in a business, and it's about cashing in is really what it's about. It's about being able to show a bottom line, whether that bottom line is increased viewership or whether that bottom line is increased revenues. It is all about engaging and at the same time being able to show, a return on that investment.
Chris, could you talk briefly about as well, because we talk about engagement, what about reach and frequency too, very briefly? Because I want to give somebody a chance. If anyone has a question, I want to give you a couple seconds. We're almost out of time, but I want to talk about how we achieve that. The uniques being how often people are interacting, and and the unique viewer, the unique connector to your content, and then also, the frequency. How do we get all that together? The engagement, the reach, and the frequency.
Well, certainly it all starts with the broadcast. It all starts with the content. You have to have a good show. You know, the predecessor to this company, we used the same technology and we became the fastest growing website of 2007. We outgrew MySpace, Facebook, and Twitter all combined. And we did it with something called our social media multiplier. And that's rather than having a user tweet to their 120 followers on average, of which 2 actually read it, what we're able to do is capture that asset and repurpose it. So now a show or a network can put it on air, they can put it through certainly Facebook or Twitter, and at the same time, while they have that asset, they can redistribute it on the private label social network that we provide. And because there was an autoresponder and people are engaged in that program, for example, what ends up happening is we send them notifications, hey, we've accepted your video, or we've accepted your vote, you could be on TV, or you have been counted on television. And what happens is we take them through that process until ultimately they may be on television. What happens is you see that frequency go up sometimes 6,000 to 7,000% in terms of people tweeting or forwarding or sharing, and it creates this snowball effect, if you will. So basically what we're doing is amplifying certainly those messages and those, and as well as the videos that are being submitted to really create an entire engagement for the program, for the network itself.
Awesome, awesome. I want to give you guys a chance. If anyone has a question for these gentlemen, I want to ask them about what we're going to see going forward in 2013, but I see a question already. If you have a question, please step up to the microphone if you could, or I can come down and walk around with it. Anybody have a question? I saw a hand. Please step up to the microphone.
Hi, actually my question is for David Beck. Hi.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Hablas español?
No.
Only in the office, right?
Okay, I hope you have people who
Sí, claro.
speak Spanish. Ah, muy bien. Great answer. No, my question real quick to you, and I'm hoping to get some time afterwards. But right now, everybody talks, at least in the Latino market, we know the engagement that is going on Twitter and Facebook, and everybody talks Twitter, Facebook. Can you talk a little bit about GetGlue? I see a lot of stuff going on GetGlue, and Viggle and Foursquare. I mean, how do they index with Hispanics compared to the usual suspects, Twitter, Facebook?
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know that I have great stats to tell you about indexing relative to the others. I mean, I've heard recent stats out of GetGlue in general that they have more activity coming out of GetGlue than Twitter. I know that makes people sort of shake their head, but for us at Univision, GetGlue is absolutely part of any event that we're doing, any show, a premiere, an award show. We're always using GetGlue stickers. We're finding that our audience really likes them. They like checking in. They like that reward in some fashion. Viggle, is a different model that's more tangible rewards. Both of those we're actively using. Foursquare, not as much. I mean, more for when I think of our live events platforms with hundreds of radio concerts and thousands of local events through our radio and local television stations, we'll leverage Foursquare. But in terms of overall participation at an aggregate level across the entire network, it's still primarily Twitter and Facebook. But remember, through Viggle, through GetGlue, through Foursquare, through LinkedIn, you can tweet, you can post messages. So they may be using those apps to generate some of the social content that you see via Facebook or Twitter.
Real quick, is it mostly in Spanish, or you see more and more?
More and more a mix. I mean, you saw with that novella, the novella fan of the week, it was in English. But everything.
The novella in Spanish,
but she tweeted in English. Now we see plenty of Spanish tweeting, obviously, but it is absolutely a mix. We saw a lot of that during the political cycle as well.
Anybody else for a question before we wrap? I want to get a few points as well. Go ahead, sir. Yes.
Hi. From the point of view of production and from the network, are you creating more cost for yourself in the sense that you've got to have talent on staff to respond to tweets and things like that, and you're producing so much more back-end information now? Is that to secure advertisers and assets, or is it to actually create greater revenue options for you?
Yes, there is an added cost, but I mean, that's something that going into it, but ultimately it is to bring in more advertising revenue.
I tell my mom I'm a cost center, but no, in reality, we're absolutely looking at this as building new opportunities for the brands. I mean, every single day we're getting calls about how do we integrate social into a
I guess it's the old adage is true. It takes money to make money, or you got to spend some to make some, but it's worth it. That's awesome. Anybody else before we give our panel just a few last points? Sir?
Well, I was just going to add an added benefit is also demoing down to a demographic that is part of a fundamental change in consumption and a behavioral shift that I think could be the biggest one in television since I've been around. So if you want to talk to that demo, right message, right time, right way. And I think that's a good way to curate and demo down, which is a big, big opportunity.
Another way put, if you're not doing it, you're not in the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to briefly, before we wrap, because our time is up, going forward, 2013, they say this is the year. As we walk away from this, just very briefly, person to person down the line, what is the main nugget? What are we going to see? What should we take away from this? And as you just said, David, what is it? We don't want to be stuck on the sidelines. How do we get in this game? Just a quick nugget. Starting with you. We can start with you, David Gill. Anyone.
Okay, sure. For us, I think it's about integrating social earlier in the production cycle and during the storyline so that you have alternate storylines that play out via social and interactive, and some are doing that already. Great stuff out of USA Networks and others, but we want to see social ingrained in the storyline more organically.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
Next,
for us, we do it in the development process. I mean, anytime we're looking at a new show and about to go out and pitch, we're basically looking at it from a 360-degree angle, from a digital perspective, new technology, including this. What can we do? When we're going into the network to pitch, it's not just, okay, here's the reality show that we're pitching you. We're going in with an entire deck and actually giving them the entire package and saying, this is what the show can do online. This is the technology that could be integrated, where you're basically having viewer engagement and driving, that conversation.
So don't just get in the game early.
Yeah, and we're doing it early, and that's
Create
part of
the
the
game.
package, where this way the network could just sit back and say, okay, yeah, that's great, and sort of take the work away from them, not because we believe that we can do it quicker, faster, and have know what it takes to have that show be a success. So we basically take control, not sit back and wait for them to be the ones having these conversations.
Wonderful. How about you, Chet?
I think by the end of the year, you won't see a promo or movie ad without a hashtag on it, and you'll see it in bumpers, even referencing what happened in the last thing, and that's the low cost. And the other thing is you'll start to see the networks really push to have consumers adopt their platform for second screen across all of their shows.
Awesome. Last word, Chris?
Certainly, I think in 2013, you're going to see some clear winners in the space. This has been coined the year of social TV, and you're also going to see some of the major companies kind of fall away because of the business model. For us, we're agnostic. It's all about licensing. We're here at NATPE to license, so if you're not in the game, come see me or go to the Plunge boardroom and get in the game.
All right. On that note, I want to thank our esteemed panel. Thank you for joining us and for giving us that great information. And thanks to you all for coming. Have a great conference, and don't forget to cash in. All right? Great.